All right, y'all, Shabbat Shalom. We're going to start this off with a prayer and get into praise and worship and get right into the word. Father, y'all, we come before you right now in the name of your son, Yahushua Mashiach. Thank you right now for this day that you have made, Father, y'all, for we should continue to rejoice and be glad in it. Father, y'all, we just thank right now for just being with us as a whole. Father, y'all, we thank right now if we come together on one accord, Father, y'all, we come right now and bombard the Shamayim, some say the heaven, Father, y'all. Father, y'all, we come right now, just coming right now, taking it, Father, y'all, according to what you say, we can have the promises of you are yea and amen. We're taking it by force, y'all. Father, y'all, we come right now with that now faith, Father, y'all. Father, y'all, we just come right now, coming right now in the name of the son, Yahushua Mashiach, just magnifying your name right now, Father, y'all. We come right now, let you know that there's none other like unto you, Father, y'all. We come right now, giving you all the baraka, Father, y'all. We just come right now, just lifting up the name of your son, Yahushua Mashiach, Father, y'all. Father, y'all, we come against all ruachs of depression, Father, y'all. We come against all ruachs of anger, Father, y'all. Father, y'all, we come against all ruachs that cause schizophrenia, Father, y'all. OCD, Father, y'all. Anything that's not like you, Father, y'all. Sickness, Father, y'all. We come against ruachs of sickness, Father, y'all. Father, y'all, we come against ruachs that hinder us in the walk, Father, y'all. Father, y'all, we come against procrastination ruachs, Father, y'all. Father, y'all, we just come right now before you, just thank you right now for everyone that's under the sound of my voice, Father, y'all. We thank right now we submit ourselves unto you, Father, y'all. We think that we submit what we think is our will unto the will that you have for us, Father, y'all. Father, y'all, we thank right now that you lead us into light as we are the children of light, Father, y'all. Father, y'all, we magnify your name because you're worthy. There's none like unto you, Father, y'all. Father, y'all, in the name of your son, Yahushua Mashiach, we pray. So be it. So be it. All right, y'all, we're back. We're going to be getting into a couple of different topics, but the primary topic of the lesson will be called Wake Up. We'll be dealing with that. We're going to touch on social conditioning a little bit, and not to confuse that with social engineering, because social engineering is the process of someone hacking information from you falsely, getting you, tricking you into giving out information that's supposed to be classified by presenting themselves as someone that they're not, like that. So we're not going to deal with that one. So don't mix social engineering up with social conditioning. Social conditioning is the process of getting you conditioned, to believe what the society wants you to believe. We'll touch a little bit more on the definition a little later, but we're going to kind of kick this off a little bit. We're going to kind of go into the seed of the serpent. One of the results of the seed of the serpent is social conditioning. And if you're of Yah, you shouldn't be conditioned by the society to believe in the manner in which they want you to believe, thinking that you need to. For one, what we've been hearing a lot about is violate your body with different, V-shots and stuff of that nature. So you don't have to do that. And so it's just a lot of things they try to get you to think, get you to think certain ways. If you're, of a certain color or nationality, they want you to be put in a box and be thinking that just because you're, black or whatever, you should do this, or if you're white, you should do that. And that's not how things supposed to be. We're supposed to be led by the light, which is the word of Yah. And so we're going to get into Genesis a little bit to touch on this seed of the serpent. Let's look at Genesis chapter 3. Look at verses 14, 15, and 16 of Genesis chapter 3.
Genesis chapter 3, begin at verse 14.
Yeah.
And Yahuwah Elohim said unto the serpent, because you have done this, you are cursed above all cattle and above every beast of the field. Upon your belly shall you go, and thus shall you eat all the days of your life. And I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your seed and her seed. It shall bruise your head, and you shall bruise his heel. To the woman he said, I will greatly multiply your sorrow and your conception. In sorrow you shall bring forth children, and your desire shall be to your man, and he shall rule over you. Okay, and this is what we have going on now. And now there's a message in this by itself. And this isn't anything trying to down women, anything like that, but we got to stick with the truth. And so it says your desire should be to your man, and he should rule over you. And what we have to look at here is
when we look at all this and put it in its aspect as we turn over, we see right here what happened. If we look at this here, we see that there's a war going on, basically. We know that there's a war. And basically, when I say social conditioning is the process in which people of a certain society are being trained to think, believe, feel, want, and react in a way that is approved by the society or groups within it. And this is the thing, and it's basically conditioning you to be the way they want you to be, through whatever it may be, through whatever way they do it, whether it be through school, or whether it be through, religion, whether it be through just, I would say, ads, social media, certain things that they do, propaganda, it's basically for social condition. And it's a broad, span in which it comes to try to, get you confused in what you're supposed to be doing. But let's stick to the point. Let's look at Genesis chapter 6. We're going to look at verses 1 through 4. Yeah, we're going to look at verses 1 through 4.
Okay. Genesis 6, verse 1. And it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of Elohim saw the daughters of men, that they were fair.
Oh, they were fine. That's the thing. So they said they was desirable to their eyes. So when you see this here, what we're trying to do is tie this in together, because you just saw right here that in this particular one we just turned from, that it said there was going to be a problem going on. There was going to be an actual war, a battle going on with the sea. And so as you get right here, you look at this, you see that they saw them and they were fair. Go ahead.
And they took them women of all which they chose.
Mm-hmm.
And Yahuwah said, my Ruach shall not always strive with man, but that he also is flesh. Yet his days shall be 120 years.
Okay, go ahead.
And they were Nephilim in the earth in those days, who also gathered afterward, when the sons of Elohim came into the daughters of men. And they bore children unto them. The same became warriors and tyrants, which were from everlasting mortal men of the name.
That was it. That was at the end of 5. Oh, that was the end of 4? Okay, so mine had something different, said men of a family, so I get that confusing. But basically, we look at this right here, and we see that what happened is when you get to this point here, you see that there's an actual power. There's an actual, I want to say that women are very influential. And that's the thing. This is what I'm trying to get at. So therefore, the Most High, as you go into Corinthians, we're not going to go there. It doesn't say husband. It say that you should have power over your head. It didn't say she should have power over her head. It's not talking about a head wrap. It said power over her head because of angels. So if you'll make an angel fall, you can make a man fall. You know what I mean? That's the thing. So this is what we're looking at. And this is tying in because these are like taboo topics. People want to get out of this and stuff and say, oh, it don't matter, I ain't got no husband. It say have a husband. It said that you should have power over your head. You should be under some type of male authority. That's what it's saying. And this is what we get away from. This is why ones that don't really subscribe to that are making other ones fall. It's kind of like escaping through the cracks. Just because you see Yahushua Mashiach do a miracle, you see Paul and them do a miracle, that means that the whole ministry is based on miracles. The ministry itself is based on time lapse. You have certain delays in the Ruach. There are things that you have to pray and you have to believe that it's going to come to pass, and it comes to pass at an appointed time. Now, in an emergency situation, you have a miracle that can take place where somebody needs this help and they need it right now. So here comes a miracle. Now, the miracle is not the way things normally work. This is the thing where I'm using this as an example, just because you see ones that don't have a covering doesn't mean that's the normal way things go. So ones that need one real bad, they don't get one and they fall, or they cause certain men to fall. This is what I'm saying by not being in the actual lined up with what the word is saying do. Now I'm dealing with social conditioning. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to put this into the way in which we have what we're supposed to be operating in the actual, I would say, the world of the assembly. And the way we have things, we let things come in and start actually tainting, the actual assembly. And the way we let it happen is we get to a position where just because we see a few things working, that we actually start saying, okay, this is the actual normal pattern. It's not the normal pattern. The normal pattern is already set forth. It said that your desire should be toward your man. This is it. And this is the thing. So we have this set up now where when you see one start certain stuff that's actually, I would say like, I would say just not trying to bash anything, but just when you see a lot of women conferences and a lot of stuff where you hear stuff say, I think I've heard someone, not to really say who they are, they may not want me to mention a name, went to one, they were saying, hey, I'm concentrating, he better not touch me, or, I'm fasting, you know what I mean, like that. But that's not what the word say. I mean, like say the word doesn't say that, but when you use this stuff, it's actually witchcraft. You know what I'm saying? Like when you use, an actual reason without coming together, because it say you'll allow space for the enemy. This is the thing. So you don't want to allow space for the enemy. Let's say when you are one, you're supposed to, you're supposed to actually consult one to another and say, okay, is this okay? You know what I mean? Do you think this is fine that I should do this? Don't just say what you're doing. When you do that, even though you are an individual and you have actual individualism or power over your body, it doesn't mean that it's not going to cause issues later. And it's the thing. So that's why when you hear the word say no weapon formed against me should prosper. Well, when something ends up in divorce, it's a weapon, and it did prosper. You can't say it didn't because it prospered. And why did it prosper? It prospered based on things you're allowed to come in, based on being conditioned by certain other ones that are supposed to be in the walk, but they have misled you because it's working for them. You think it's no problem. But just like I gave the example, say they saw the daughters of men and they were fair. They looked good to them. So they say, look, we want one of them for our wife, and they was not supposed to do it. And if they were supposed to do it, it wouldn't have caused this chaos. You had Nephilim come behind, you had Yah shorten the days. It got so bad. Then shortly after that comes the flood. So it caused a whole lot of chaos. That's what I'm saying, like looking at the idea of this. So we get back toward the end in our Corinthians and get back and say, okay, now there needs to be power. It needs to be power because of the influence that we see that she has. It's not saying that power is supposed to suppress. It's saying that's supposed to be an authority figure over, a male authority figure. And when you say, no, we don't have to have it, ones that's not strong enough to have that strong feminist type, spirit inside of them, they fall because they need it. And so what happened, you have caused them to fall because you're able to do this without one. And that's the problem when we get caught up into saying what you don't have, what you don't need. You need what the words say you need in order for things to work right. Because when they don't work right, it winds up into some kind of issue or some type of problem. You see all this confusion going on, and even in the church where you see people want like accolades. You see certain ones that are caught up into following certain ones. They don't know why they're following. They're following because they think this is what's supposed to happen. But when you hear certain ones show you stuff, we heard one minister, famous Hebrew minister, was talking about something and said, talking about not questioning and stuff like that. That's of the slave mind frame. Like even your children have a right to ask a question, but they don't have a right to alter what the rules are if you set forth rules, but they do need to know why things are happening. If I'm whooping you, I'm whooping you because you did this and this was bad, because this is cause for whipping. This is called for punishment because you did this. I want you to understand why I'm doing it. But when you get out this social conditioning gets to the point where it say, don't question me, I'm the pastor. Don't question me, I'm your dad, I'm your mama. You just do like I tell you to do. That's ignorance. I mean, that's right, because the word saying all that get an understanding. So if you're not getting an understanding, you punishing them for nothing, then they're not going to actually know, how to actually improve from that, and not to do that again. So basically looking at social conditioning, I'm trying to look at this to make this touch home, because it's like looking at the idea of being trained to think and feel and believe a certain way. You don't question the system as a whole, no matter what kind of system you're in. You don't question the system when you're in the church world. You don't question the system when you're in the actual world itself. You say, I'm just going to do this because everybody else did it. Like our forefathers passed down, what I wrote down is base traumatic stress, for it's like race-based traumatic stress, for it's like from the actual Black society, they actually was so suppressed and so, oppressed, I would say, by things to the point where they passed down like a whole law that's not written. Like there are things that happen in the Black family that they keep quiet instead of opening up and saying this happens, so they brush it under the rug. Most people have this happen in their family because meanwhile ate pork back and all this. You never looked at, why is this making me sick? You just ate it because that's what was left over. So you don't question, you just call it like, I would say, I think the word is hereditary. You say this is just based on, my generation past, everybody had high blood pressure. So this is what we diagnosed you with. It can be changed. It can be changed with a plant-based diet. It's only true because it's been happening. If you taint something, then it's going to produce something else that's tainted. That's the thing. You're going to get the result of what it is that you planted. This is the problem right here. What we have going on right here is the soil has been tainted so bad to now when seeds come in, we just accept it and we just allow it to grow and spring up in our life. And we don't even question none of it. We say, okay, this is what I'm going to deal with. I'm going to say, okay, we're dealing with this, the white supremacists is what we're looking at. You know what I'm saying? It's like saying that, okay, the whites are a superior race, so we should be under their authority based on everything they showed us and all the images and everything that we've seen henceforth in the social experiment. You say, you set the black doll, you set the white doll in front of the black child and say, which one is the pretty one? And they pick the white one based upon the way they have been conditioned. And this we have going on. We have the same thing going on when we're dealing with not social condition, but when we're dealing with social engineering. You're typing things up, or you're doing stuff, especially somebody that's typing stuff that they shouldn't be typing. That same computer bombards you with that same stuff. And it's like, and they start getting information, gathering stuff from you and start letting you know, okay, look, we like this, so we're going to present this, we're going to present this. And the more you fall into the trap, the more you start going into the rabbit hole even further. But this is the thing, we have to make sure that our minds are not conditioned based upon the way that the society wants us to think. We have to be conditioned based on the way that Yah wants us to think. And when we allow them to condition us, what we do, we allow them to train us, we allow them to train our children in education, we allow them to actually have these results that come out that's actually basically bipolar results. These results are not the results of Yah. No one is supposed to be identifying neutral. You're supposed to identify one way or the other, male or female, but now in this new society, they'll condition you to say it doesn't matter. I mean, like no one is born neutral. This is the thing, no one is born the opposite way from what they are. You identify based upon, you know, your tools that you have, the plumbing for the guy and vice versa. You know, you identify that way, not based on what they want you to be identified by. I mean, it's just pretty much so basically, I mean, it's really no nice way to say this. It's just based on the idea of when you're actually asleep, the enemy comes in and sows seeds. So social conditioning is basically that seed of the serpent that hit me. When I was thinking about it, that's the seed of the serpent. He actually began to condition you to be a certain way. And when you're conditioned, it's kind of like, just like now, I mean, I have more books in this Bible than the regular 66 books. There are more books involved that they took out. Okay, if someone starts speaking on the book of Enoch and I only had the 66, well, I can't conversate back on the book of Enoch. That's what I'm saying. They give you history. And the history that they give you is basically his story. And basically, that's all you have. That's all the information that you got. So you can't go no further than the information you have. You can't put a kindergartner against somebody that's a professor in college. And that's what's going on. We're trying to battle this enemy. And you can't battle it. You won't be able to defeat social condition without being conditioned. That's the thing. You have to be conditioned. It's like you have to unlearn and relearn. You can't allow what they have force-fed you to actually begin to tell your story. And this is the thing we have to look at. There's a delay in the realm of the spirit. There is a delay, like when Daniel was praying. He said, I think it said in the scripture on that 24th day when he was praying, it talked about the prince of Persia saying, hey, I came, but I was withstood. It talks about, about the angel Michael saying that the prince of Persia withstood him. He said, from the first day that you prayed, I heard you. I heard you from that day. That's why the promises of Yah, yeah and amen. We can't allow this stuff to pollute us to the point where we don't realize that there is a delay. When Yahushua Mashiach cursed that fig tree, it didn't happen immediately. It wasn't an emergent situation at that point. That was a process. It said they looked around a day later and said, Master, the fig tree that you cursed has withered. It happened later. That's the thing. So we have the process that we have to go through. But the world teaches us through a lot of these moves that they quote unquote call Jesus moves and all these miracle moves that everything is supposed to be instant, automatic popcorn. And there's no process, there's no fight, there's no actually good fight or faith to fight. It's like you just get it right away. But it's not going to be happening right away. We have to have things done decent in order. And if they're not done decent in order, we just accept anything. We can't allow ourselves to be conditioned based upon falsehood. We can't allow ourselves to be conditioned based upon Christianity and what we see a lot of these false prophets doing. We can't allow ourselves to be conditioned based upon things being done out of order. I mean, even when it talk about prophesying and say, I wish that you all prophesy, and I don't forbid you speaking in tongues. Well, if someone unlearned come in and all y'all run around speaking in tongues, then they're going to be like, hey, what's going on? These people are mad and they crazy. He didn't say don't do it, but it's supposed to be done decent order and prophesied that by course, 2 or 3. That's how it says. So this is it. But no one wants to go by that. They just want to do things out of order and just run around and say, okay, well, I'm just going to believe y'all that this happened. If it didn't happen, then I forget it. It ain't working. It must be something wrong. It's not nothing wrong. We have to stand. We have to actually stand, keep fighting, keep wrestling, keep doing what you're supposed to do until the process comes forth. Keep watering the seed, keep watering the seed. But if you don't have the right seed to water, you're not going to be able to get any results. This is the thing. So when you're conditioned to believe a certain way, to accept a certain thing for you, and it makes you actually be less than, basically. So it's conditioned to put you in a category. It's okay, since you're this color, then you should be in this kind of neighborhood, and you should drive this kind of car, and this is all the education you need, if any. And this is the thing, and so it makes us accept the status quo, but our story can change. The only thing can change our story is the word of Yah. And this is what I'm looking at. I'm actually setting forth, I would say, a challenge to those that are listening to actually put yourself in position to bombard, someone say the heaven and someone say the Shamayim, and get some results. And the way that you do that is you follow the process. You figure out what it is that Yah is saying that it's okay for you to get or you to have. If you're lacking something, you're not supposed to be lacking it. So you go through the process to get it. You bombard the Shamayim, some people say the heavens, and keep watering that seed. Just don't give up. You don't stop. You have to keep wrestling. You have to go get it. You have to take it by force. It's not going to just happen all the time. It's not going to just come to you easily. It's like a lot of things that takes some effort to get, and we want to do it effortless. It's not always done effortless. What happens when you do something effortless is that you spend hours and hours and days and time after time actually perfecting something. And that's when it gets to a point where it may seem effortless, but it's not effortless. You built up to a point. That's why when you see a boxer that's real good, you see somebody that's good and playing ball or what they're doing, they train. They train themselves. It's the same thing in this, you have to train. Intercession is the key. If there's no intercession, then there's no results. If you think that you can do this without praying, do this without approaching Yah in the name of Yahushua Mashiach, it's not going to work. You have to pray. You have to pray against the poison. You have to pray against and destroy this seed of Hasatan that actually comes in to take control of our mind and our children's mind. So it hit me with the social condition. The social condition is just getting you to believe what they think you're supposed to be believing and to act it out. And it begins to come alive in you. It begins to actually be a seed that's planted inside of you, and it grows because you start taking on this social condition. Let me give you an example. The stars that they put before you, all those that are out there that are in high positions, certain basketball stars, certain movie stars, when they use them, when I go in the mall and I see Shaq's face on an actual, some type of gadget or something, or a computer, that's social condition. It's saying it's going to prompt you in your self-conscious to get one. It may not work on everybody, but it's going to work on somebody. You're going to go home and think about seeing Shaq on that Epson, whatever you call that computer or that printer that you say I'm on. What you call it? Yeah, Epson. Yeah, I saw him on one of those computers up inside of one of the little computer places that you go in, you know what I'm saying, like that. And I was like, why is Shaq on this thing? And what I'm saying, they use them. Because see, we've been seeing these people from, I wouldn't say a youth, but from their teenage ages or their young 20s all the way up until their older ages, 40-something, 50 years old. So we begin to have a certain reference to them. So we begin to held them high. So they begin to use them in certain areas. So it'll be like, well, if LeBron said it, then it must be some kind of truth to it. Like that. And this is what the children don't realize, that this is used as a weapon against them. And it's like, we're respecting these people person. We're not supposed to respect that person. We're not supposed to disrespect anybody, but if they're not lining up with the word, it shouldn't persuade us to think one way or another because someone's picture was used, because they put Jay-Z, Beyonce or something up on this particular poster with this particular type of food, and it's okay, this food must be good because they use them because I like their music. I mean, it's actually what they're doing is conditioning you to actually just fall prey to whatever it is they want to push. So they use these people to push these agendas for. They use them to speak, and they'll put one over the Black community, one over this community, and say, okay, we're going to ride for such and such. Since they got him out of jail, then they must be living righteous. But it doesn't mean that. They're just being used. And the more they do things that's good in the world, the more you start saying, okay, look, I'm going to bend a little bit and take their word as bond, or their word as being solid. But it's not solid. It's a trick. It's done to actually condition you, so you can actually fall prey to what their agenda is. So they have to use these people from the youth up. That's why they let them do their thing. They let them be stars, Snoop Dogg, just keep on naming them all. We keep naming them all, but when they get to a certain point, we look at that history and we remember the history of them coming up. So they've been around so long. So when they say something, we don't realize in our subconscious mind that we're halfway accepting it, even if we're not acting on it, because it's actually done in a way that's subtle. But let's look at Matthew chapter 3. Matthew chapter 13. Yeah, starting at the 24th verse. 15.
Matthew 13 and 24.
Yeah. I'm ready.
Another parable put he forth unto them, saying, the kingdom of Elohim is likened to a man which sowed good seed in his field. But while men slept, his enemy came and sowed tares among the wheat and went his way. Okay,
stopping at 25. Say, while men slept. This is the thing. That's why I try to just wake up, because it's like you can't be to the point where you're so dumbed down till you accept what the world is giving you as truth. You have to actually, it's up to you. Like the word says, steady to show yourself approved under Yah. Steady when just, I mean, you can look at it that way, ones that want to see it, but it's not just talking about the Bible. It's not just talking about the word. It's up to you to study what's being presented. It says, steady to show yourself approved. We know you got to study the word. That's a given. But how are we not going to be ignorant to House of Tongues devices unless he get an advantage over us? Well, this is the thing. So we think and see church, you know, and the actual Christian society has taught you everything has to be in the Bible. Bible means book. It's a record of history. And that's the thing. So we have to check certain words been changed. All kind of stuff has been tweaked. It's not saying that it's something to the point where you can't be saved with it, but you have to study things that are around you that if you're going to entertain it, you should study. If you spend most of your time on some social media platform, you need to study the history and the intent of it. You need to see what results is it bringing in your life and what results what it's intended to bring. When I look at it and I study the research of it, it's showing me that it's done to actually promote social conditioning, because the results that it's bringing is to control you. That's why we have the ads. What you think they're coming on for? They want you to entertain what they're saying. It pops up in the middle of what's going on. It don't matter if it's just about buying a drink. It wants you to think in your mind about that drink of pizza. You ever see an ad come on about pizza and you say, man, I wouldn't mind having me a pizza. That's what you can get real when I put it like that. Because that's the thing. People say, oh, ain't nobody going to trip me. It's been plenty of times I heard see an ad come on and it's talking about some type of food or some type of drink. And I say, I would like to have it. It worked the same way with negative stuff. You know what I mean? It worked the same way with negative stuff. Once again, harping on this a little more, when I used to watch all the police brutality videos and stuff, and my wife was like, hey, you watching this stuff is going to keep you riled up. That's what it was designed to do. So I cut back on watching all that stuff and getting all excited when I see that had you mad at every right person you see. You know what I'm saying? That's not how this is supposed to work. And what it does then, it tricks you and gets you to a point where there's a bitterness that sets in. And when that bitterness sets in, it causes all kind of problems. I'm not going to really go here, but we'll talk on this one day. But in bitterness, when you look at the counselor of David, David had a counselor that was there before him that was letting him know it was wrong what he did with Uriah the Hittite. And then in the way that he set this up with Bathsheba, he was letting him know it was wrong. David didn't want to hear that. You know what I'm saying? He didn't want to hear what the counselor had to say, so the counselor killed himself. If you look at the scripture, you'll begin to see it and you research and you look and see who was counseling David. And guess what he started doing? He went and started counseling Absalom, the one that was against David. That's the thing. And shortly after that, he killed himself. But I'm just saying, when you have this stuff set up the way it's set up, it's designed to cause bitterness. It's designed to actually cause something. It's called social conditioning. When you put condition in your hair, it's designed to soften it up. You know what I'm saying? It's designed to get it to take some other product or something. If you have the conditioning and you have the shampoo, this condition is made for this particular type of shampoo. So it's designed for you to absorb that shampoo and get the best results out of it. So we condition you to believe this. And then the results is we start bringing these other things before you, all the propaganda. Now you start seeing, now you're acting this way because we put this before you. We've actually got you to change your behavior. It's witchcraft. And it's the thing, so we have to study to show ourselves approved under Yah. And that means you need to know what type of move the enemy is making against you, especially entertaining a tool that he promoted. See, this thing is that social media is a double-edged sword. Pretty much like the word is like it can be done to help you and it can be done on the other end to hurt you. But it's up to you to control the hurt part of it. And if you don't, and you get so caught up in saying, oh, ain't nothing wrong with it, I use this instead of this and that. Yeah, but are you looking at this when this come on and say, okay, yeah, I would like to go here and fight for this and fight for that and start putting all these different desires for you to stand, Black Lives Matter and all this stuff. You just start rolling with all other kind of stuff, but you were supposed to be doing something else with it. That's not how it works. It's designed to get you. You're not strong enough mentally. I think we use about 10% of our brain, something of that nature. So the rest of it is, you have to actually control that little percentage and control whatever it is that's causing you to be a certain way. The rest of the stuff you've been taught from a youth up. You've been taught when you first born. You get that Social Security card and you get your birth certificate, and they start telling you what you are, what you need to do, and they start putting you from preschool up. They start training you on what they want you to think and how they want you to be, and they start instituting all the education inside all the schools all the way until you're gone. This is the reason why I'm a strong promoter of homeschool, well, the ones that are able, because you can kind of cut down on a whole lot of the foolishness that's being taught, or the way that ones that are not around you when you're going at work, they ain't around you hardly no time. It's time to go. If you work all day, it's time to go to bed. When you come home for all that long day, they've been being taught by their peers and by the teachers and stuff, things that you probably don't want them to learn. And I know someone to watch this video that's not like us, and this will probably wake them up and they'll say, you know what, my child started acting a certain way. I don't know what happened. I said, well, who did they start hanging around with? This is what you need to start figuring out. Find out who are they keeping company with. Even communication corrupt good manners, but just because they're at this pretty private school that you sent them to, and everything's supposed to be this and that, that doesn't mean that people not going to come in that's going to actually influence them to do something that's wrong, something that's not of Yah. And this is what we have to do. We have to stop giving so much credit to the world, thinking that they have our children in their best interest and us, because they don't. Their job is to control you. Their job is to get you to think a certain way and to act a certain way. You're not going to get any results unless you begin to change the behavior pattern and thinking pattern that caused you to get the results that you got. I'm saying, so you have to switch something. And there's an area in my life, the enemy is working in real heavy. And my wife will tell you that I'm getting the results because I fought at it. And I'm still fighting on a regular basis. I won't let the enemy take control of anything for us, like when it comes to mentality, when it comes to attitude, when it comes to the way that I'm supposed to present myself, or the way I'm supposed to be. This is where one of the biggest tricks of the enemy. You ever ran into some ministers that are saying they ministered and they have just the worst attitude you want to see? And they're talking about they're a minister of Yah and your attitude is horrible all the time, 24/7. You're a mess starter 24/7. You're involved in some kind of mess. Somebody we talked about the other day, one of the big Hebrew preachers, always in the middle of some mess. I mean, like, you mean to tell me this is Yah? It's got to be a problem with this. So it's something that you have to check. If there's the issue is always you caught up in the middle of something, there's something wrong with you. And you have to figure it out. It's kind of like 2 or 3 people constantly telling you they notice this about you and you keep ignoring it. At some point, you got to start saying, what do I need to check out about myself? They're saying the same thing and they don't know each other and they're telling me this about myself. So we have to realize that, okay, put down the narcissism and all this stuff here and who we think we are and say, okay, look, I need to check myself and say, why am I doing this? What can I do to stop this? First of all, you have to fight against it. When something comes in and binds you, it binds you. You are the strong man. And if it takes over your peace, takes over your ruach, especially the ruach, just don't be quiet, because we don't say your ruach now, because it's like if it takes over your ruach and gets you in a position where you're acting out more on negative things than positive things, then you need to realize, go back and see what caused you to be bitter. What caused you to get this way? What caused you to feel like, was it rejection? You know what I'm saying? Was it some type of way you felt like you wasn't worthy, so you lash out at others? There's got to be something that you find. And this is where we trust the Most High. He say we won't be ignorant to Hasatan's devices. So if you notice something then, and you begin to go to him, like I was saying, in prayer, in supplication, he'll begin to help you fix that issue. There's no way he won't. If you begin to, his promises are yeah and amen. If he's telling you to be a certain way, to think on these things and to act this way, then obviously he's going to help you. If you say, look, I know I have this issue. I know I have this problem. Help me. You'll get the instruction on what you need to do and you'll notice it. It'll red flag you when it's coming on and you'll feel the actual desire, but you won't act on it. That's the thing. And so then that's fighting. It's easy to run off at the mouth and say what you're going to do and this and that and have loose lips, but you have to muzzle that tongue. You're powerful when you can actually muzzle that tongue. He that can control his spirit, it talks about in one of the Proverbs. You know, it's like it's paraphrasing, it's stronger than somebody that can take over a whole city. I mean, like that. So you have to be able to control your emotion, control you and how you operate and how you respond to individuals, because it matters. The Most High is watching it. He's watching how you operate and how you interact with others. There's a time for everything, but it's not always a constant time to be angry and a constant time to be in confusion. But we are supposed to check things. There is a righteous anger, but operate in the ruach of anger, or the spirit of anger, is not righteous. It's unrighteous. It means that you are bound by something. Just like drinking. Okay, you drink sometime, but if you're labeled as a drunk, the word say no drunken should enter the kingdom of Shamayim, should enter the kingdom of heaven, for those that want to say that. And so we have to look at this and say, okay, how far did I go? You're going to know, because you're led by the Ruach HaKodesh. You're going to know when you went too far. You're going to know when you're going down the wrong road, when something needs to be changed. And this is what I'm talking about. I'm going back to social condition, because when sports are on, when all this stuff is on, you see alcohol, you see the beer, you see all this other stuff, you see all kind of things that are, I would say, that are not good for children's eyes. You know what I'm saying? You know, I would say porn or whatever like that. You see this stuff. I call it soft porn, because, you know, you see this stuff, you see naked folks, half naked, running around, and this is doing the entertainment when something that you like is coming on. So all this stuff is playing in the background. And so this is why when it's around this time, when I'm out there delivering or doing something, I'm taking a lot of alcohol to say one, because first of all, this is what they've been conditioned to do at this particular point in time. You don't have to associate certain things with certain things, because they said this is what you got to do. You know, it's okay to eat chicken and waffle. You don't have to eat chicken with your eggs all the time. I'm just saying, like, you have to learn how to catch some of these things that they're actually teaching you to do. And in the ways that they're teaching you to be, saying, oh, it's okay. Ain't nothing wrong with this, or this ain't in the Bible. The point is, if you spend time trying to figure out what's not wrong with something, you're not spending time trying to figure out what's the will of Yah and how can I get closer, Yah. You're trying to push the envelope as far as you can push it without falling, and you will fall. You keep going close to the edge, eventually you will fall off. It's just like the old saying, you keep going in the barbershop, eventually you're gonna get a haircut. It's just how it goes. I mean, like that, you're eventually gonna get a haircut at some point. You keep entertaining this shop over and over again. Hang around that group that's smoking this, or isn't it, man, papping that thing on. Ain't no wrong, I'm gonna hit this. Because you kept on hanging around with no purpose, just sitting there, hovering around a situation that you're not trying to make better. The situation can only make you worse if it's something negative. And that's how this works. So basically looking at the social condition and saying that, okay, while you're not paying attention and while you're asleep and not woke, the enemy comes in and sows seeds. And so you don't know what's going on. That's why you have to guard your subconscious. It's important what's playing while you're asleep. It's important what's in the background going on. And you're saying, hey, I'm not directly entertaining this, but it's indirectly affecting you. And you don't realize, you say, okay, well, now I'm starting to feel a certain way. Well, why is this happening to me? Go back and do it's good to always do a briefing, even in the morning, just like they have in the present. They do an intelligence briefing every morning. And you should do a briefing on yourself and say, okay, how am I feeling today? And if it's something happening throughout the day, you do it throughout the day. How am I feeling now? How am I feeling now? Until, you know, you're actually on a track where you can actually be in tune with the Ruach HaKodesh leading you in certain areas, but you still should do it. Always be in tune with what's happening. Be in tune with what's going on around you. Be in tune with what you entertain and what's in the presence of you. If you enter into a threshold, what's in the presence of that? You know, if you enter into a place like, what's this? What's that? I mean, if you're there, you should know what's around you. Why are you going? Like, you shouldn't go nowhere that you don't understand what's going on. You shouldn't entertain that you don't know how it operates. It goes back to social media. If you spend all your time on Facebook, find out what it was about. What was it for? What is it doing to people? And it's not good based on what I see. If somebody got 90% of their time on this thing and they're not operating a job or nothing off of that. And I'm like, well, what time do they have to do something different? That means that they've been conquered by it. They've been conquered by it, and it actually have them in subjection. It subdued them. And they're not accepting that because they say, okay, all I'm doing is this. No, it's controlling you mentally. So you can't get nothing done. Most people that are successful, they don't even deal with that because they already know what time it is. I researched someone that's very successful. They talk about it all the time and say, I don't have time for that. They say I done missed $10,000 and $11,000 or $100,000 here and there. I spent 3 hours doing this. I don't have time for this. But when someone is doing this all night, it's like I turn this thing on and look at it and it's a certain acting. I'm like, man, they active 24/7. I mean, like that, you know. So, but active doing what? Liking pictures, texting back and forth. Yeah, it's cool. I like this. I like that. And it's actually controlling your day. We're supposed to actually rule the day. We're not supposed to let these things rule us. That's the thing. So we have to make sure that we're actually aware of what it is that's causing us to act certain ways, what it is that's taking up our time. We have to actually do time management and realize, okay, well, how can I actually get more out of the 24-hour period that I have in this day? Is this taking out too much of my time? Is this taking up too much of my time? I can't get results. Work on it and you'll get results. There's some things I'm working on, some things that I'm looking to get results from, and they have to come to pass at some point. That's the thing. As long as I keep believing the Most High, it's actually going to come into fruition. So I think you left off at 20. Yeah, you can do 26. So basically, talking about while men slept, the enemy came in and sowed tares amongst the wheat. Go ahead.
Matthew 13, 26 now. But when the blade was sprung up and brought forth fruit, then appeared the tares also.
Mm-hmm.
So the servants of the house came unto him, it came and said unto him, Adonai, did you not sow good seed in your field? From whence then has it tares? And he said unto them, an enemy has done this. The servant said unto him, will you then that we go and gather them up? But he said, nay, lest while ye gather up the tares, you root up also the wheat with them. Let both grow together until the harvest. And in the time of the harvest, I will say to the reapers, gather ye together first the tares and bind them in bundles to burn them, but gather the wheat into my barn.
Okay, and this is the thing, this is what's going on here. Like when you're asleep and you're not woke, you have to realize that it's all going to happen on one page. It's like the Most High is not coming in trying to do anything or send the angels in to reap or do anything at this point. The time is not here yet. It said, let both of them grow. Let both of them go. You saw what happened when the man that was actually cutting himself and all this kind of stuff that had all these different spirits inside of him, where the spirits ran into the swine and all that. Well, this particular man here, when these demons cried out to say, where are you? Have you come to get rid of us before our appointed time? It's not time yet. But he came into the time he wanted to, because he is, like you say, he's even Lord of the Sabbath. So he's able to do these things because of who he is. But for us, there is a time frame for certain things. And so we have to look at things actually coming to their full, growth. So the Most High is letting these things happen. These certain things that's why we got a short period of time now. Certain ones say, behold, I send you out as sheep among wolves. It's like you have all this stuff going on. You have wolf and sheep clothing. You have all this stuff going on to actually disguise itself. Everything is coming up together. But in the end, when the sickle comes out, it's going to be over with. That's the thing. So we have to make sure that we are on the side we need to be on. We need to be wheat and not tare. Because we see in the end, the tare gets burned. It actually represents, a metaphor of hell, of the lake of fire and brimstone, basically. So we have to make sure that we're set up to actually believe the things that the word told us to believe and not to accept something because of repetition. Repetition brings results. What we call, when we get on the weight bench, we call it reps. How many reps you gonna do? I'm gonna do 10 reps at a time. Okay, we rotate doing 10 reps over a period of time. The person's chest start developing, they start getting, certain things, give you the six pack, because it brings results. So when they show you this stuff repetitionally over and over and over again, the results gonna come forth. You can't block this from entering into your spirit. So the results are gonna come if you don't realize that this is an attack against you. Social conditions. So if you think, okay, it's nothing but TV or nothing but, the social media is nothing but Facebook or YouTube, when you minimize it like that, that's what the enemy wants. Okay, think this isn't a weapon of war against you. If you think that, then this is when it's going to actually prevail against you. And so you can't say no weapon formed against me should prevail and all this kind of stuff here when you're walking on the side of the enemy and you're letting the enemy actually entice you with this stuff and you're not fighting against none of it. You're just accepting everything. That only goes for the person that's actually clothed with the whole armor of Yah. If you don't have the whole armor on, you don't have yourself girded up and begin to fight. If you're not standing, and after all you're doing to do is stand, then you're actually going to fall prey to the enemy. And so we have to look at, so basically just looking at the art of things is to basically not allow the world to condition you to think a certain way. We have to not allow the world to have us thinking that it's okay to do something because we see it over and over and over again. That's child's play. We should be beyond that. That's something, you don't do that. It's like flashing a piece of candy before you something. We don't need to see that over and over again and then think that it's okay to do this just because we keep seeing it. Just because we keep hearing ones talk about all these different variations of the shot and all this stuff. So we think, okay, this must be the right thing to do. When you research it, people getting it, they're dying too. So it's like, what kind of sense does this make? Like, it doesn't make any sense. It just means that you've just been conditioned to believe that it's okay because the world told you it was okay. And since you kept seeing it over and over again, they're showing it on these TV shows, they're showing on stuff that you probably shouldn't be entertaining. most of the time, and you see it on this, you see it on that. So you say, okay, look, I'm gonna roll with this because I keep seeing this over and over again. It's got to be for real. That, it's like we got to get out of that. We can't. It don't matter if they show it 24/7 a day, hours a day. Don't matter if they show it 24 hours a day. We shouldn't believe it if the word is saying to research these things and to study to show ourselves approved. We don't need to let Hasatan get an advantage of us. The way you get the advantage of us is we let our guards down because things are coming forth and being repackaged in a way that seems not to be harmful. And so mentally we accept it and we actually begin to act on it subconsciously. And it brings forth the results that the Most High don't want to come forth, but you believe it. Like going back to somebody involved in all this Mother Earth, meditating on stuff that ain't got nothing to do with the word, and they get results. Just since the result came, then they win other people over and say, hey, I sit there and meditate on a call over and over again, calling chakras and all this kind of stuff. And then next thing you know, they come on and say, I believe it too. All they do is just stamp in their world Jesus on it or whatever and say, okay, this got to be God. And it's like, what God? Of the universe? I mean, this thing, and they don't realize that this stuff is a trick. Seeing results has nothing to do with it being true. That's the thing. This is where we get into the false prophets and everything. Familiar spirits telling you stuff that was attached with another familiar spirit told them that was attached to your great-grandmama. You think because you saw it that this got to be true. That's why the Most High corrects certain things. He said, let him that dream a dream tell a dream. And let him that has my word tell my word. It don't mean that the dream can't be prophetic, but it does mean all dreams are not. That's the thing. So we have to look at this for what it's worth and not be conditioned the way that the world wants us to be conditioned. And this was really just maybe a short version, I would say, a 10% of the version of social condition that you can bring out, because there's so many other things that can get us conditioned to actually hate each other. You have we have this self-hatred, that's social condition. It's always conditioned from the beginning. You know what I'm saying? When you have the house nigga against the field, and you have all this stuff going on, vice versa, and you say, okay, well, I hate him because he outside in the field. I hate him because he in the house with master. You mean like that? So the confusion starts, and it goes on and on and on, and you get this on the job, hating each other on the job. Every job I've been on, it's a fight been going on amongst people. Every church I've been at, it's a fight been going on amongst people. It's been division. It's because that's what the enemy caused, and it's been predominantly Black places. And in the ones that was not predominantly Black, it was the Blacks that was amongst the few white that was actually in division amongst each other, clicking up into certain areas, coming against each other. It's mental. It's mental. I mean, you can't go through a neighborhood without them saying, well, who you think he is? Who you think they done made you identify, condition to identify with a neighborhood that says it represents a certain color of a rag in that neighborhood. So if someone else come from the other side of town and they're supposed to be your brother, in his word, according to what it say, you hate them because they're from across the way. Man, it's sad. That's what we have going on. So we start shooting at each other and killing each other, and it's being glorified in the actual drill music, which is rap music, another form of social condition. I mean, we just want to just touch on that a little bit, but as we look at this, we have to know that we have the power through Yah. We have the power through Yah, and the way we fight this stuff is through intercession. If you don't know something, then you need to actually pray in your utmost holiest faith, which is in the Ruach HaKodesh, is how you need to be praying, where you can get things revealed to you a little quicker. And with that being said, we're going to close this out. Father Yah, we just thank you right now for the word that went forth. We thank you right now for allowing us to think according to the way the word wants us to think and not the world. And we just magnify your name for this day that you have made. We should continue to rejoice and be glad in it. In the name of Son Yahushua Mashiach, we pray. So be.